From the station working for you, this is WRTV News at Noon, streaming now.
And thanks for joining us here on this Friday. I'm Lauren Casey, and Todd Clausen is working from home this midday. Todd, I just stepped outside. It is perfect out there. I want to get out of the studio and get outdoors. What can people expect?
You know, it's absolutely gorgeous, Lauren. We have the low humidity, that bright blue sky out there, and temperatures really comfortable. We started in the 50s this morning in many locations, and temperatures now are climbing up in and through the 70s in many locales. A few 60s out there still to the north, one up in Peru and one down to the south in Bedford, but officially 72 degrees in Indianapolis, Bloomington at 74. There's a nice refreshing breeze out of the northwest and just a few high, thin, fair weather clouds out there as you look from downtown to the north here on the Weather Now camera network. And as we go throughout the afternoon hours, we should actually even lose more in the way of cloud cover. So just about 100% sunshine here into the afternoon hours, and temperatures that are actually going to be running just a couple degrees below normal. But I don't think anybody is going to really care or worry about that as this less humid air mass continues to work its way in, not only for today, but tomorrow is going to be really nice as well. So enjoy the sunshine. Highs today between about 75 and 80 degrees, depending on where you are. Once the sun starts to set, though, it's going to cool off very quickly. 7 p.m. temperature probably right around 71 degrees, and then falling into the 60s pretty quickly once the sun sets. We'll talk more about the holiday weekend for you coming up in just a few minutes, Lauren.
All right, Todd, thank you so much. New coronavirus cases in Indiana remain high today. The latest numbers from the State Department of Health showing 1,044 new cases reported, along with 17 additional deaths. While new cases are not rising, the 7-day moving average has remained above 900 for 6 consecutive days now. New this midday, the unemployment rate dropped nationally in August, but it does not mean that the job market is coming back swiftly from the pandemic. The federal government says the August unemployment rate was 8.4%. It's the first time that rate has been below 10% since March. However, job growth appears to be slowing down. 1.4 million jobs were created last month, lower than the numbers for June and July. Some local reaction from the news from a Ball State University economist. Mike Hicks says that the unemployment rate may understate the current condition of the job market. He points out that as of right now, 28.9 million Americans were receiving some type of unemployment insurance. That is a full 17.6 of all men and women who were working back in February. A much-needed 3-day weekend is finally here, and health officials in Indiana and across the country are reminding everyone to be smart and safe this holiday weekend. Indiana saw a spike in COVID-19 cases after both Memorial Day and both of the 4th of July weekend as well. The health department say that was mostly due to large gatherings and people not social distancing. Labor Day is not as big of a travel weekend this year, but Indiana's health commissioner is warning people to be safe if they do plan to get together with friends and family.
What this shows us is that COVID can spread quickly in large gatherings, especially when people aren't staying 6 feet apart and wearing masks. Please pay attention to that as you make your plans for Labor Day weekend. We saw a surge in patients after Memorial Day and our July 4th gatherings. I don't want to see that surge after Labor Day. Make this weekend a safe one, Hoosiers.
Well, Dr. Bach says if you absolutely need to get out of the house for the holiday, try doing something outside that allows you to remain socially distant from others. Some Indiana University students are not happy. They may soon have to find a new place to live. IU is encouraging all students who are living in Greek houses on campus down in Bloomington to move out because COVID-19 is spreading from member to member fast. So far, they've quarantined students in 30 of their houses. Riley Sample is one of them. She decided to move out of her sorority house and get an apartment. She's spending the rest of her time in quarantine with her family.
I expected this. I gave it 2 weeks when she left, and I think she thought I was joking. I was not. And when you stick kids together, 80 or 100 kids in a house, there was just no way that this was going to end up any other way.
To my college peers, I think this just goes to show that this is serious and that we have to take this seriously or we're not going to be on campus at all.
IU administrators say the positive test rate in some Greek houses is above 50%. Around 2,600 students live in the Greek houses. The university cannot order those homes to shut down because the houses are all privately owned. New this midday, the Trump administration is being criticized for an order to shut down a military newspaper that has served U.S. troops and their families around the world since the Civil War. An order from the Pentagon says that, quote, Stars and Stripes must end publication by the end of this month. Funding for the newspaper was eliminated in President Trump's proposed defense budget, though the budget has not yet been approved by Congress. The Stars and Stripes is funded by the government. The newspaper has maintained editorial independence since it was first published back in 1861. This week, 15 senators from both parties sent a letter to the Pentagon urging that paper to be allowed to continue. President Trump is pushing back today on an explosive article in The Atlantic. That report says that Trump repeatedly made disparaging comments about fallen U.S. troops. ABC's Faith Abube says that the president and others in the White House are denying those claims.
They made it up.
President Donald Trump forcefully denying explosive allegations made in The Atlantic magazine that he disparaged U.S. soldiers who were killed and wounded in combat.
I would be willing to swear on anything that I never said that about our fallen heroes. There is nobody that respects them more.
ABC News has not independently verified the reporting which appeared in The Atlantic Thursday night and is not detailing the alleged comments attributed to unidentified sources. The writer, Jeffrey Goldberg, on MSNBC this morning.
I think he's genuinely confused by service. I do think that these comments are in line with a general and publicly stated outlook about the importance of material gain, the importance of not being a loser.
The anonymous accusations in Goldberg's report do echo some past disparaging comments about military service the president made about the late Senator John McCain in 2015. McCain was tortured for 5.5 years as a POW after his plane was shot down over Vietnam.
He's a war hero because he was captured. I like people that weren't captured, okay? I hate to tell you.
Progressive veterans group VoteVets.org quickly responding to the report on Twitter with a video of Gold Star parents speaking for their fallen children.
My stepson was not a loser.
My son, Matthew, is not a loser.
In a statement released late Thursday, former Vice President Joe Biden saying, if the revelations in the Atlantic article are true, it's yet another marker of how deeply President Trump and I disagree about the role of the President of the United States. But the president, his campaign, and the White House all united in expressing their outrage, with the White House press office tweeting there wasn't a soul brave enough to put their name on any of these accusations because they're false.
I just think it's a horrible thing that they're allowed to write that.
President Donald Trump has gotten into public spats with Gold Star families in the past. In 2016, criticizing Kazia Khan, the father of a fallen U.S. soldier. And then in 2017, the wife of a fallen black soldier, alleging Trump told her husband knew what he signed up for. In Washington, Faith Abube, ABC News.
The community comes together to honor fallen law enforcement from all around the state. Next, how the pandemic brought some big changes to this year's event and how you can be a part of it tomorrow. Todd.
And Lauren, it's a beautiful day in progress here across central Indiana with the low humidity and all the sunshine. Humidity stays low tomorrow as we push into the holiday weekend. However, as we get closer to Sunday and Labor Day itself, the humidity is going to start to climb once again. We'll talk all about it coming up in your WRTV Storm Team forecast when the news at noon continues right here on WRTV.
Welcome back. This weekend, the community has a chance to memorialize fallen law enforcement officers here in Indiana and make sure that their survivors know that they are not forgotten. The 19th annual Cop Cycling for Survivors bike ride in Plainfield was originally scheduled for July, but it had to be postponed due to the pandemic. In a typical year, active and retired officers, along with survivors of fallen law enforcement officers, bike 1,000 miles across Indiana over the course of 13 days. But this year, it will all take place tomorrow.
Well, one of my best friends was a police officer in Texas who was killed in the line of duty. So I've been directly affected, and I know what the survivors go through. It's one of those things that there's an outpouring of public support whenever an officer is killed, but it's just human nature that dies out. But the survivors are left with a huge hole in their hearts for the rest of their lives. So we want to make sure that that hole in some small way is filled.
Well, the ride begins at 8:30 tomorrow morning at the Indiana Law Enforcement Academy in Plainfield. The public is invited to come out and ride along. Well, there have been a lot of tough decisions made about school since this pandemic began. Next, the story of a family who made a major move because their child's school was keeping its doors closed. And let's take a live look outside on this Friday. Your lunch hour. Here's a look over Lucas Oil Stadium in downtown Indianapolis. A beautiful Friday to kick off our holiday weekend. Todd Clausen will have more details for you coming up here on the News at Noon. Stick around. Well, families are being forced to make tough decisions when it comes to their kids' education. Most districts across the state are giving families an option of e-learning or also in-person learning. But as our Stephanie Wade points out, that's not the case with all the districts. She spoke with a parent who pulled her child from his school.
Just knew this isn't working. We need to make a change. And so that's what we did.
As a first grader, Sarah Holsapple's son was part of a dual language immersion program at Willow Lake Elementary in Washington Township schools, spending 80% of his day learning in Spanish.
We have nothing but positive things to say. And the decision to leave the school was extremely hard as a result of how much we loved it.
But despite loving his school and the program, the district's decision to go entirely virtual learning was simply not working for them.
We went from having a child who was enthusiastic about learning and excited to go to school every single day to a child who was unengaged and actually asking us at the end of each day if he really had to sign on again in the morning.
They decided to leave the district for the time being and enrolled him in a private school that is currently in person.
Ultimately, you have 7-year-olds looking at a computer screen for 3 to 4 hours of a day and expecting them to then retain the information that they're learning. And at least for my 7-year-old, it wasn't working. It wasn't functional. And we could honestly see a regression from the beginning of the school year up until now.
The Marion County Health Department has provided some guidance for schools, recommending when the percentage of positive cases in the county reaches 13% or higher, there should be no in-person classes. But in Washington Township, if the percent positive is 5.1% or higher, schools will remain closed. Right now, Marion County is at 5.2%.
Our frustration came when we started seeing all of the other township schools in Marion County have plans that included in-person learning, at least for elementary age kids, and yet our school board seemed to not be able to figure out a way to make that happen.
Holsapple says her son's demeanor has already changed. He's waking up early, excited to get to school. But she says she's sad for hers and other families' decision to leave the district. Stephanie Wade, WRTV.
Stephanie, thank you. Now, we asked Washington Township Schools how many students have left the district since going virtual. They said virtual opening was announced July 13th, and they're currently conducting a data cleanup in preparation for the average daily membership, or ADM, count day coming very soon. Let's take a turn right now to our forecast. Maybe the kids want to get outside, stretch their legs a little, Todd, run around, because it is a beautiful Friday, a great way to kick off a holiday weekend.
Yeah, I encourage them to get outside after school or after e-learning and enjoy this nice, beautiful weather. And you're right, Lauren, it's going to carry all the way over into the holiday weekend, so that is certainly good news. We'll give you a live look right now in Bloomington across the campus of IU. Just a few fair weather clouds out there, and otherwise we have plenty of sunshine. And what you don't see today is the haze. There's no humidity or moisture out there whatsoever, so it's making it for a very, very comfortable Friday for us. In fact, some locations still in the 60s. Richmond at 69 degrees. It's 72 in Martinsville, 74 in Bloomington, as well as Lafayette. And from Tipton up US 31 there to Peru, the temperature's at 71 degrees as well. Over the next 6 hours, temperatures will go up a couple more degrees. We should get up to about 76 to 78 degrees in many locations. 80 might be a little out of the question, and we do have an opportunity for that. It's probably going to be in some southern locations, but overall just a terrific afternoon so far across the area, and that is going to continue. There's a few fair weather clouds as we showed you down towards Bloomington. It looks a little worse on the satellite radar picture than it really is, and they'll continue to move to the south because the cold front that went through yesterday evening evening has pushed further to the south. It's taken the clouds with it, and you notice there's a few spotty showers there moving through West Virginia as well as in the Kentucky area and to our north. You don't have to worry about what you see in Minneapolis there. That is not going to be heading in our direction for the day today. I will emphasize, though, this evening for you, the sun sets a little after 8 p.m. As soon as that sun sets, it is going to cool off pretty quickly across the area. So I think you definitely probably want to have at least a long sleeve shirt or a jacket handy if you are going to be out and about on this Friday evening as those temperatures start to cool. And by the time you wake up tomorrow morning, we're in the low to mid 50s across the area. In fact, it's not out of the question. A few locations could be in the upper 40s. So it's going to be a really, really cool start to your Saturday. But as the winds shift a little further to the south, we'll warm up a little bit more tomorrow afternoon compared to today. It's just as sunny and the humidity levels are still just as low, and it's really a terrific day. It's just going to be a couple degrees warmer. We'll continue to warm on Sunday with 84 degrees being your high temperature. And then for Labor Day itself on Monday, it turns pretty hot again, 87 degrees. The humidity comes up as well, and that's going to make it a little more uncomfortable on Monday itself. And we can't rule out the chance of a spot storm on Labor Day, but the better rain chances will be once we get to Tuesday and beyond as things get a little unsettled next week. Computer models all over the place. Some want to keep us warm through the middle of the week, and some of them want to bring in some really cool temperatures, but we have plenty of time before we get there next week. Let's focus, Lauren, on the good stuff, right? And that is going to be the sunshine and the dry conditions for this holiday weekend.
All right, well, take it, Todd. Thank you so much. Well, the greatest Jeopardy champion of all time is returning to the show, but not as a contestant. Ken Jennings is coming back to the Jeopardy family as a consulting producer. Sony Entertainment says that Jennings will also present his own special video categories during the new season. There's been some speculation that Jennings is being groomed to one day replace Alex Trebek as the host of Jeopardy. Trebek already has been taping new episodes in the middle of his ongoing battle with pancreatic cancer. Jeopardy's new season begins airing Monday, September 14th. Well, a couple of weeks ago, we showed you the adorable player intros recorded for the Toronto Raptors by their kids and other family members before their last regular season games. Well, the Raptors players and coaches in the NBA bubble had been separated from their families for 2 months. This week, the league allowed some of the family members inside the bubble just as long as they tested negative for the coronavirus. The reunion between Fred VanVleet and of the Raptors and his kids is exactly what you'd think it would be.
Who's that? I love you, Daddy. Oh, so sweet.
Oh, well, Van Vliet's girlfriend and their 2 kids were among the family members allowed inside the bubble. You can see his 2-year-old daughter is just really excited to see Daddy play as well. More news and one more check of your forecast is coming up when we return right here on WRTV. Stay with us. So the question for a college professor, how to get your kids to actually read the syllabus at the beginning of the school year. The answer for this sharp-dressed Los Angeles teacher, get another Southern California legend involved as a temporary teaching assistant. And maybe his students will listen to this guy.
Yo, syllabus. You gotta do it. You gotta read it.
Why is that, Snoop?
Man, I'm telling you, the more you know, the further you go. Tell them Snoop Dogg sent you. Syllabus. I know all about it. Catch up so we can have a conversation. Don't be late. Let's go.
Okay, Snoop. Thank you for dropping the word of wisdom.
Dr. Benny Ng is a chemistry professor at Los Angeles Pierce College, hopefully making a first good impression on his students there. That also didn't come cheap. That cameo video from Snoop Dogg would have cost the professor $750. Hopefully they paid attention. And we know everyone is paying attention to Todd Clausen when he does the forecast, especially when we're heading into a holiday weekend, Todd.
Yeah, and especially when we can bring nice weather in for a holiday weekend, Lauren, and that's exactly what we have. Tomorrow's almost a carbon copy of today, just a couple degrees warmer. More humidity, though, for Labor Day itself.
All right, thanks for making WRTV your choice for news. Have a good one.